Here we go, boys, the spiciest of spicy tier videos. Today, we're going to be looking at the best beginner bikes. This is one I've been wanting to make because I know there's going to be loads of views, and well, I know that most people who watch my stuff are either bikeless bros or beginner riders, which I think is pretty dope. If you've seen our motorcycle brand tier list video, you know that we did Suzuki dirty, but I'm here to tell you that we'll be simultaneously redeemed and done dirty once again in this video. Stick around to find out what I mean. I've been really enjoying this format, and I've had a lot of fun making these videos for you guys, and as usual, today's video will go from F tier as our worst of worst, all the way to S tier as our best of best. I've seen a few comments asking me to use a face cam for these videos, but the problem is I script out my thoughts and I don't really want to film my face just reading from a script for this, even though I wish I could speak this clearly and concisely off the cuff. Sadly, I can't. Also, this video won't include any 125cc's except for one, because we're focusing on the American market. Also, if I included all 125s in this video, it'd be like 40 minutes long. Also, today's video is going to be primarily focused on value prop for the bikes, meaning bang for buck. Literally, reliability and fun factor. Even though I'm going to be objective, remember, I'm just a sentient dog on the internet and this is all my opinion, so don't get heated, you little cutie pies. Now, before we jump into the absolute definitive tier list video for beginner bikes, you're going to want to make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're doing huge things here at Yammie Noob, and you're definitely going to want to be a part of it. Now, let's get into these bikes. F tier. As usual, F tier motorcycles are the worst of the worst. You shouldn't even really consider these bikes for a beginner, for anyone. They're just objectively awful. They're either unreliable, slow, terrible, or just bad, or a combination of all of them. Let's take a look. The Buell Blast is an F tier beginner bike, but don't take my word for it. Wes Seiler from Jalopnik famously called it the most boring bike of all time. The Buell Blast is known for its terrible build quality, a 500cc mule of a single cylinder engine, and since Buell isn't around anymore, best of luck getting any parts or support for this bike. The Buell Blast is a wretched little beginner bike that doesn't deserve your attention, much less your consideration for your first motorcycle. If you want a bike that will only incite curiosity and admiration from other weird Buell aficionados, then get yourself a Buell Blast. Old school UJMs as a category are F tier beginner bikes. Let me explain. When you start out riding, the last thing you want is a bike that is heavy, complicated, unreliable, and worst of all, in my opinion, carbureted. Now, I know the comments are going to be flooded with folks saying, my first bike was a 1942 Kawasaki Crapbox 1100 LX, and I loved every masochistic second of it. But in all honesty, a bike that you spend more time wrenching on than riding on is going to teach you how to be a motorcycle mechanic instead of a motorcycle rider. When you're starting out, it's important to get a bike that just fires up and works, but they get an F plus tier because they are very pretty to look at. Suzuki's new GSX 250 is an F tier bike. Now, many of you think I've been unkind to Suzuki, but stick around for the whole video and you will see that they will be redeemed. Suzuki's new GSX 250 is an F tier simply because it's ridiculous for them to make a brand new 250cc bike when the competition has clearly left them behind in terms of power, design, and everything else. The GSX 250 is a lemon of a beginner bike, even though it will start every time, hopefully, unlike your 1933 Honda CB660 terrible jetting fuel issues edition bike. E tier. E tier bikes are only marginally better than the F tier. They're still wretched machines that don't deserve your attention, but if you're stuck with them as a first bike, just remember that it could be worse. You could have an F tier bike. It's all relative, my dudes. Remember that. Let's take a look. Honda Groms are E tier beginner bikes. Now, I know the Honda Grom and Honda Monkey have a cult-like following, but I'll be honest, having ridden one myself, I don't really get the hype. The Honda Grom is a bad starter motorcycle because of its diminutive nature. It's going to give you bad habits, it's going to make larger bikes feel like absolute giant machines. But you'll realize that it's not that motorcycles are huge, it's just your perspective has been warped by riding a Honda Grom around this entire time. Groms are almost explicitly a sort of bop around a big city bike. I don't recommend them on highways since they can only top out about 62 miles per hour, and they're just a bit one-dimensional. Groms, they can keep them. The Versys 650 is also an E tier bike. I have a bit of an axe to grind with this bike, and that I think it doesn't really do anything that well. Maybe yet it makes a solid beginner bike, but I think given its heavy and unwieldy nature, the Versys 650 isn't going to make the best starter machine. But honestly, just look at it. It's hideous. Sport touring machines should be on your avoid list for starting out, but still, you could do a lot worse than a Versys 650. You could own some wretched UJM. D tier. D tier starter bikes have a lot going for them. They're definitely going to get you to where you want to go. They're going to make sure you get there safely, arrive in style too, but they have fatal flaws that have relegated them to this spot on our ranking. Let's take a look. Some of you might be shocked, but I think the KTM RC390 is a D tier starter bike. Now, it's not due to massive power or a lack of power. The KTM is A2 compliant, that makes a respectable 44 horsepower. It's not due to aggressively bad reliability either, even though these do have some reliability issues. No, the KTM's problem is just way too niche of a machine. A small displacement replica race machine that only seasoned track day veterans will appreciate makes a terrible daily bike and won't be a great option for beginner riders. You'll want to look elsewhere and further up on our ranking to see which bikes make your shortlist. I think the Ninja 250, the quintessential beginner bike, is a D-tier starter bike as well. Even though Kawasaki made literally billions of these motorcycles, I think the 250's anemic parallel twin, coupled with its age, makes it a bad choice for beginners. The 250 has been upgraded in the last few years with the 300 and the 400, so unless you're on an absolute shoestring budget and you're trying to buy a bike for like $1,200, I'd skip the Ninja 250. Besides, just save up a little bit more and you can snag one of our S-tier bikes. C-tier. C-tier beginner bikes are middle of the road. They're going to get you down the road for a great price and style and with reliability and track record that the other bikes we've looked at so far just don't. They likely didn't make it into the other tiers because the competition is just so damn fierce. Let's take a look. Honda CB300R is a C-tier beginner bike. With its 286cc single-cylinder engine, it's definitely not going to be beating anything off the line in a drag race. However, this bike is all new and redesigned for 2019, and boy, it looks good. Honda's reliability is nothing to scoff at, and they've been shoving this single-cylinder mill into millions of bikes all around the world for like 10 years now. They're tried and true as racetracks as well. Although the Honda looks great, we simply can't place it any higher than C-tier because the competition's really stiff. The Triumph Bonneville is a C-tier starter bike. With its low seat height, approachable looks, and velvety torque from that parallel twin engine, the Bonneville is motorcycling distilled to its most primal components. The neo-retro class of bikes is what I always recommend to guys and girls looking at classic UJMs, since they have 95% of the looks and literally none of the drawbacks. This class is tricky though because you need to choose the right kind of bike. If you go with the Triumph Speed Twin as a first bike or an XSR 900, you're not going to have a fun time. An honorable mention is Kawasaki's W800, B tier. B-tier bikes are very good machines that will provide you ample amounts of fun, great reliability, and will likely get you lots of compliments and looks. Let's see what we've got on the table. Yamaha's R3 is a B-tier bike. You might have thought that because I owned one previously, I would place it higher, but I try to be as objective as possible on these. Yamaha's R3 is newly updated for 2019 and now is sportier with upside-down larger forks, more committed ergonomics, and a updated dash readout. The R3 makes for a fun package with its 321cc parallel twin engine making it A2 compliant, and Yamaha's reliability knows you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck. The difference between the KTM RC390 and the R3 though is that the R3, despite it being a bit aggressive, is a little more forgiving to ride than the KTM RC390. The only problem with the R3 is that our A and S tier bikes just provide so much fun for dollar that we had to place them here, although I'll always have a soft spot for the first generation R3 with the red paint scheme. Honda's CB500 platform is a B tier starter bike as well. The CB500 comes with a 41cc parallel twin engine making about 50 horsepower. It's going to make it less rev happy than the R3, but it provides more torque down low. The CB500 is sold as a naked variant or a fully faired version. Both come with very friendly ergonomics for beginner riders and will give you plenty of fun for years to come. The only reason we're playing it in B tier is because they're looking a little long in the tooth compared to our competition. Honda's CRF 250L is a B tier and excellent choice for those looking to take their motorcycle off-road. Off-roaders are usually familiar with dirt bikes because they likely grew up with them, but if you're new to the game, a dual sport like a 250L is a great place to start. You might struggle with super tough trails, but the CRF is pretty capable on most terrain. The reason it's a B tier bike is because it's a little too rough for highway riding, and the 250cc single, while excellent for trail riding, is going to be a little anemic for street duty. A tier. Now we're cooking with gas. A-tier beginner bikes are those you'd be proud to own and will allow you to flex on just about anyone underneath you with those lowly C and B tier bikes. Let's see what we've got here. KTM's Duke 390, the 2017 Plus edition, is an A-tier starter bike. Even though its fully faired cousin, the RC390, was rated as a D-tier bike, we have to give the Duke 390 credit where credit is due. With its upright ergonomics, pokey single cylinder, and super lightweight chassis, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more fun A2 motorcycle than one of these. The question of reliability and long-term maintenance does come up for this platform since it utilizes the same engine found in the RC390, but the 2017 edition has been reworked and apparently is more reliable, and we're willing to forgive it for those wonderful looks and super fun characteristics. Yamaha's FZ07 is an A-tier starter bike. Even though it's not A2 compliant and it's pretty gnarly for a beginner rider with its 75 horsepower and parallel twin engine, I still think the FZ07 is a bike you can really grow into and learn with. I think the FZ07 makes all kinds of sense for beginner riders who are a bit older and more sensible and want a bike they can keep for a long time and not have to worry about swapping up. The FZ07 is a complete blank canvas motorcycling experience, offering a huge amount of aftermarket support and modifications, but again, given its hairy personality, we'll place it in A tier, maybe A plus tier. The Ninja 400, as much as it pains me to say, is an A tier starter bike. Kawasaki debuted this newly revised beginner bike about 2 years ago, and it's absolutely taken the market by storm. With its class-leading big bore parallel twin, good looks, and accessible ergonomics, the Ninja 400 is an exceptional starter bike. It's got the right amount of power, right at about 45 horsepower. It looks cool, and it's going to allow beginners to focus on the craft of riding. The Ninja 400 has really approachable ergonomics as well, and it's capped at A tier, however, because our S tier bikes are just too good in terms of their bang for buck. S tier. S tier beginner bikes are god tier choices. If another rider sees you with one of these and knows you're a newer rider, they'll likely applaud your choice. Choosing one of these bikes shows that you did your homework, you're a savvy consumer, and you know what you're doing. Let's see what makes an S tier motorcycle. A used SV650 is a god tier S-class beginner ride. You've probably heard this before, maybe on forums such as Our Motorcycles or other videos on YouTube's, but the SV650 is an absolute perfect starter motorcycle. Let me explain. They've been making Suzuki SV650 since the dawn of time. They've got so many parts for them that it's actually insane. The SV650 with its V-twin actually sounds awesome when you put an exhaust on it, unlike most beginner bikes. Older variants don't have too much power and won't scare newer riders. They have really approachable ergonomics. They sold them with fairings in a naked bike version, so you don't have to pick between one or the other. They've been well documented as excellent track day bikes because of their indestructible nature. The SV650 is basically the Miata of motorcycles, in that it's always the answer. The best part, you can find them literally anywhere and for really cheap. Don't sleep on the SV650, this is an S-class bike. Suzuki also gave us the GS500, which in my opinion is another god-tier S-class starter bike for many of the same reasons as the SV650. You can get these bikes in any market, you can beat the absolute living snot out of them, and they'll simply look up at you and say, "How else can I help you, master?" And again, Suzuki made like a billion of these bikes, and they're gonna make it so that even if you blow one up, just go get another one. GS500s also make excellent track bikes with a few modifications and will never let you down. I do think the SV650 is slightly superior, but you really can't go wrong with either one of them. And our last S-tier motorcycle is the Ninja 650. Much like our previous S-tier bikes, they seem to follow a theme here. The 650 is a bike you can grow into. Kawasaki made millions of them. They're cheap, they're easy to ride, they're not going to scare you. The Ninja 650 is a great choice for nearly any beginner rider and is going to give you loads of fun for years to come. An honorable mention for our S-class beginner bike is the Turbo Busa, but again, we can't exalt Suzuki too much now, can we? I'm just kidding. Now, what do you guys think about these bikes? Did we miss any? I'm sure we did, but we do have to keep this video at a decent length. I can't be putting out 25-minute long videos. That'd just be insane. Let me know in the comments below. I do always love hearing from you guys. Now, I'd like to let you in on a little secret. Imagine a place you can come learn about bikes, hang out with like-minded individuals, get access to exclusive content, and best of all, hang out with me one-on-one. That sounds pretty sweet, right? What if I told you all you need to do is hit the link below to learn more about it? That's because I'm talking about my Patreon, my dude. It started out as the beginner bike giveaway series. We've still got that going on. The KTM RC390 is going to be shipped out, but the community aspect has really grown to be the best part about it. We've got channels on our Discord server, which is a chat room you can access on desktop or mobile for memes, bike purchase decisions, general chats, and more. You also get to participate in our weekly $100 Revzilla gift card giveaways as part of our It Came From Craigslist series. So if you want the best chance to win our giveaway KTM RC390 and join over 650 people who have signed up, hit the link below and join up. I promise you won't regret it. Just ask any of our giveaway bike winners or our current members in the comments below. Go to patreon.com/YammieNoob to get started today. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.